Welcome everyone to our 50th DevVenture in the space shooter game, right? So this is the 50th live stream session in our space shooter DevVenture. So in our last session, we were trying to test if everything was working. In the end, it was working to a point. And that is the attack pattern. The attack pattern was doing as we expected it to, but as a consequence of that, the seek pattern on its own, the original functionality, remember we could press on the num keys where to send the enemy ship to which waypoint, and it would just seek out that waypoint. That's not working anymore. So let me show you what I mean, and then we can try and figure that out together. All right? So if I go into the scene and I run it, I can show you that by pressing the spacebar, it will seek the first waypoint in the waypoints array, get close enough into a firing range, and then start shooting. And so there's one error here, you can see it, and that is the projectiles are not registering as a collision. So that's one mistake. The other mistake, of course, is when I try to tell it to go to a different waypoint, right? So I can say, okay, go to waypoint number 4. And as you can see, nothing's happening. But in the debugger, you can see that there are new errors, right? So when I press it again, go to waypoint 4, debugger says 22. So let's go and check what that actually is saying. What is that actually telling us? At the bottom here, it says NPC Behavior Manager GD77. So over here, NPC Behavior Manager, no behavior sequence for pattern, find waypoint. Okay, so if we go up to the patterns in enemy ship controller, which is up here somewhere, yeah, patterns, we've got this find waypoint pattern, and inside that pattern it's got the behavior seek. So it clearly has a behavior sequence, right? Therefore, I'm not sure what's going on. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy the code from enemy ship controller, and I'm going to copy the code from NPC Behavior Manager, and I'm going to copy the error. And we're going to ask Perplexity to find the bug for us, because finding it on my own is going to take too long. I could do it. If you want me to do it, I can do it. And if you're welcome to put a message in the chat to ask me to do it. But until I see a comment in the chat saying, please do it on your own, we want to see how you figure it out, rather than just asking an AI to do it. Until you say that, I'm going to assume that you want to see progress more than the debugging process. So, so let's go ahead and do that. Enemy ship controller, we'll copy everything here, go into Perplexity, and paste it. Okay, so all the way to the bottom here. Right, so here is the current code for enemy ship controller.gd. That's how it's spelled, right? Yes. And I'm just gonna close down the test so that it's just one Godot instance, not two that I have to choose between. Okay, so that's the code over there. Boom. Right? And then, and here is the code for NPC behavior manager.gd. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Copy all of that. And then we'll paste it over there. Okay. And now I need to comment, I'm getting the following error message when I press any of the num keys to send the enemy ship to a waypoint using seek. Okay, so this is the error I'm getting. Let's copy it. We'll paste it into Perplexity over there. Like that. What do you think is causing the problem? Please analyze the code and tell me what you think is causing the problem. Oh, that's the maintenance panel. Okay, cool. Right, so it's analyzing, trying to find the code. I mean, the error is in the code, doing research on the documentation. Okay, here we go. The error comes from a mismatch between how you emit patterns and what NPC Behavior Manager now expects. The root cause is that the NPC Behavior Manager assumes that every pattern assignment includes a behavior sequence in the parameters. So current sequence is parameters.get behavior sequence and an array. If current sequence is empty, then push an error, and then the error message, and pattern failed.emit, and then emit the pattern signal, right? The failed signal. However, when you press the num keys, enemy ship controller emits a pattern like this. Pattern assigned.emit, enemy ship ID, find waypoint, parameters. And later, pattern assigned.emit enemy ship ID seek parameters. So those parameters only contain target position and waypoint ID and not a behavior sequence. So parameters.get behavior sequence and array returns an empty array. That triggers the no behavior sequence for pattern find waypoint error. In short, attack pattern uses behavior sequence is okay. Waypoint patterns do not include behavior sequence, and the NPC Behavior Manager treats this as invalid. So there are two ways to fix this. You can choose one or use both consistently. So option one, always use patterns for every pattern. Patterns at. Even for simple find waypoint behavior, route everything through the patterns dictionary so behavior sequence is always present. But I thought that's what I was doing. Isn't that what I was doing? Okay, it's fine. We'll get to that. Even for simple find waypoint behavior, route everything through patterns, through the patterns dictionary, so a behavior sequence is always present. Right? So change your emit calls for waypoint movement to include the sequence function move enemy to random waypoint, taking the enemy ship ID as an integer. Variable random waypoint is select a random waypoint rand I out of waypoints.size. Right? If random waypoint exists, so if there is a random waypoint, then get the pattern name, find waypoint, or set the pattern name rather to find waypoint, and then the behavior sequence is array. Behavior sequence is an array type, and we assign it patterns at pattern name dot duplicate, variable parameters, and then we give all the parameters, and then we assign the pattern, right? So the pattern assigned signal emits, and then we give it the enemy ship ID, the pattern name, and parameters, and then we print a message: enemy ship number assigned find waypoint pattern to random waypoint with the random waypoint ID. Otherwise, we print an error, and similarly the same for move enemy to waypoint, right? We do the same thing, basically exactly the same thing, except with a specific waypoint rather than a random one. And this keeps your system consistent, and every pattern has a pattern name and a sequence. Excuse me. There's a sequence called behavior sequence, even if it's just one behavior, which is what we want. We want that, right? Because it's modular, it's repeatable, it's structured, and there are no exception cases, right? Even when it degrades to an edge case of only one behavior in the pattern, it still works exactly the same as if there were 100 behaviors in the pattern. So that's a better way to do it. Just from my intuition, before I even look at option 2. But let's look at option 2 anyway and see if it does have any potential to be better than option 1, right? So allow legacy single behavior patterns. If you want to keep the ability to emit a single behavior without a full pattern, then update on pattern assigned to fall back when behavior sequence is missing. Oh, I see. So you add in some exception handling where, okay. So function on pattern assigned, enemy ship ID takes an int, pattern is a string, parameters is a dictionary. If the enemy ship ID is not the enemy ship.id, then return. Otherwise, we print behavior manager pattern assigned the pattern, and then the current pattern is the pattern, and then the shared parameters are the parameters dictionary that was passed in. Extract behavior sequence with fallback to single behavior. So current sequence is parameters.get behavior sequence and an empty array. If current sequence is empty, treat the pattern string itself as a single behavior sequence, and the current sequence is an array containing pattern. Then the sequence index is 0 and start new behavior. Then the pattern assigned .emit will be treated as find waypoint, and you just need a behavior node named behavior find waypoint, or rename it to match seek if that's what you want. So pattern assigned.emit will become seek using your existing seek behavior node. Given your patterns dictionary already defines find waypoint seek, option 1, always using the pattern dictionary, is cleaner and more in line with your new multi-step design, and I like it more too. So we'll do that one. And then what to do now, pick option 1 for consistency, update move enemy to random waypoint and move enemy to waypoint to include behavior sequence, and redone and press the num keys. The error about no behavior sequence should disappear, and the ship should begin executing the find waypoint pattern via the same system the attack pattern uses. Excellent. So let's do that. Move enemy to random waypoint. Here we go. So I'm going to do what I did last time. I'm going to move this to the side screen over here. What just happened? I'm going to move the perplexity over to one side, use it as my reference, and continue coding on this end. So I'm going to clear everything and minimize it. Go over to the NPC behavior manager, or is it the enemy ship controller? Move enemy to random waypoint. Here we go. Okay, so get the random index, check if it's valid. Before you create pattern, the parameters dictionary, we need to have 2 more variables. So here we say variable pattern name is find waypoint, and the variable behavior sequence is well, it's of type array firstly, and that is assigned patterns at pattern name dot duplicate. Okay, and then just want to check the type is at column 40, column 40, and assignment is at column 60. So we'll just adjust these. So that's at column 40, and that's at column 60. We'll do the same thing for this one. And we can ignore this because that's a, well, no exceptions. Okay, and I think that's that. So there were those two variables. Then, oh yeah, okay, so we'll need to add more things here. So we can say pattern name and give that a pattern name like that. Okay, then we add another one over there, and we'll call this behavior sequence, and give it behavior sequence like that. We'll move these all in line with the other one, and that's that. Then we've got the toggle position and the waypoint ID, emitting the pattern, printing out the message, and the else case. Okay, so move enemy to waypoint. We'll do something similar. Checking if the waypoint ID is greater than or equal to 0 and it's less than the size. Setting the waypoint node. If the waypoint node is not null, we create parameters, and oh, of course, we have to add those two variables in first. So variable pattern name is find waypoint, and variable behavior sequence is behavior sequence. Oh, it's of type array, and that is given patterns at pattern name dot duplicate. Okay, so this goes to line 40. This goes to line 60. Column 60, I mean. Like that. And then we push these out towards there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Then we add another one. We say pattern name and pattern name. And then behavior sequence. and behavior sequence. What is this error saying? Oh, patterns at pattern name. Right. And then we line these up together like that. Okay. And that's that. Then the pattern emit and the print message. Then there are two else's, an else this one and an else that one. Perfect. And now all we have to do is rerun the scene. So let's do that and make sure it works. Okay, so go to a random waypoint. Off it goes. Going towards random waypoint number 7. Index number 6 in the array. And there it is. And let's test it with the find a specific waypoint. Go to waypoint 3. And off it goes. Boom. That's amazing. I'm so happy. Okay, now that is satisfying. And let's try and make it attack. Go for waypoint 1. It's going to do its nice long turn. Do the arc towards it. Aim for the waypoint. And fire. That's kind of disappointing that it's not working. Don't you think? Go for waypoint 2. Oh no. What is it doing? 2. Go for 9. Excuse me? Something is wrong with the cancel pattern code. So let's go and try and figure that out. If I go into the script, I need to choose, well, I mean, I'm assigning a pattern over here, right? And so I need to go into the on pattern assigned in the enemy ship controller, which is over somewhere. On pattern assigned. Here we go. On pattern assigned, we need to cancel the current pattern. So if the enemy ship is not null, right? So it's not null and it's the right ship ID, then we say that the pattern assigned is the pattern, the current pattern is pattern, and shared parameters is parameters. But nowhere do we cancel the current sequence. Do you see that? Nowhere in this function are we calling the cancel, we're not emitting the cancel pattern or cancel behavior or whatever. So, okay, we'll just copy all the code. Actually, no. Let's not copy all the code. And, okay, no, let's do copy all the code. So, which one is this? Behavior manager, right? So we'll copy all the code. And in Perplexity, here is the updated code for NPC behavior manager. .gd. And here is the updated code for the enemy ship controller.gd. And I'm going to copy that too. So enemy ship controller, copy everything. Paste it in there. Now, what I can do is I can say, as you can see, there is no implementation present to stop the current pattern or behavior when a new pattern is assigned in on pattern assigned. This is causing problems when I try to make the enemy ship use the find waypoint pattern after it started the attack pattern. The shooting does not stop, and the seek behavior falls apart and starts directing the enemy ship in unusual directions. I mean, in unusual ways. Let's fix this by cancelling the current pattern before assigning a new one, and see how that helps. Right now, when a new pattern arrives, the previous behavior keeps running because it's never cancelled. So to fix that, we have to cancel the current pattern at the start of onPatternAssigned. So change onPatternAssigned to this code. Cancel current pattern already calls deactivate, emits a pattern interrupted, clears the current behavior, current pattern, current sequence, and resets the sequence index. With this change, whenever you press the num keys, the old pattern and its behavior are properly shut down before the new pattern starts, so shooting stops and seek or arrival won't fight with the previous state. Okay, so what is it trying to tell us? Call cancel current pattern. Perfect. It's literally the only thing we have to change. Let's just double check that. I'm going to move this over here and go into this on pattern assigned. So if the enemy ship is not enemy ship.id, then return. But before we call print and set the current pattern, we have to do this. We call cancel current pattern. So we'll make a thing here saying stop any current pattern or behavior before starting anything new. And then we call this cancel current pattern. And then we do the print behavior, or rather pattern assigned, set the current pattern and parameters, extract behavior sequences, and then if it's empty, push the error, say the pattern failed, and call return, set the sequence index to 0, and start the next behavior. Perfect. So now we can go back to testing seek behavior and observe, right? So now it should be that if I press this, we are now going to attack waypoint 1. So now it's going to start shooting when it gets close enough, which it's doing. And it's really, really supposed to work. It's really annoying that it isn't. Okay, whatever. And now I can tell it, okay, enough shooting, go for waypoint 9. And off it goes. Amazing. Amazing. And go for waypoint 4. And off it goes. So that arcing is a little annoying, don't you think? Maybe it's just a little too slow. If I go into seek behavior, into the script, there should be something here. Or maybe if I go to the pirate enemy itself. Acceleration, here we go, inertia. Govern how fast the enemy ship can change direction. Can reset that. When changing speeds, this acceleration value governs the transition. Okay, we'll set it back to defaults and see how that works. Oh, right, we are in the wrong scene. So there, go for waypoint 8. Wow, that's slow. Okay, so that's the wrong direction. Pirate enemy ship behavior. Okay. It was on 0.75, right? So we'll make that 0.60. See if that helps. Oh, never mind. Okay. We'll just set that to a really high value like 100 and test what happens. I think it's not the acceleration that's the problem. I think it's the inertia. Yeah, that's better. So bigger values for inertia seem to help. So let's make this 0.75, shall we? Go for 9. 9. Boom, okay. And then go for attacking waypoint 1. It arcs over, it starts to aim, gets closer, and fires. Really not a fan of this though. It's like the projectile is just not hitting the sphere. And then in the next frame, it's outside on the other end. So let's try and set the margin for the attack behavior. Where's this behavior? Shoot. Should have an shot interval, shot remaining, continuous shots, target node, parameters, gun system, behavior complete. And seek. And shoot. Oh wait, there was a function here somewhere. Seek target. Accelerate process here in the process function. Target position. Distance to target. If distance to target is less than 2. Okay. If I go to the behavior manager, arrival, of course. So behavior arrival. Here it is. And arrival radius. There we go. Start slowing down. The sweet spot radius. Ideal for firing. Okay, perfect. So behavior arrival. The sweet spot radius. Sweet spot distance is currently set to 10. So let's make it 11. Because maybe that will work. And if I run that, does it help? No. Now you can see clearly that the projectile is missing it completely. You can see there just before the ball and just after the ball, and nothing actually collides with the ball. So we can actually do something else. We can make the projectile faster or slower and not mess with arrival's sweet spot distance. We can actually make that 15 and 10 again. Save that. And then in Plasma Bolt, we can set the speed to be something else. So we can make it slower or faster. And hopefully that will fix things. If I make it faster, the gap between the projectiles increases. Understandably, right? And if I make it slower, the gap decreases. Ideally, and then also the other thing I could do is change the fire rate in enemy ship behavior. I can change the fire rate so that it fires faster or slower, right? And then hopefully that will fix the frame skip that it makes the over the difference. So I think I'm going to make this slower from 2000 to 1500. And then I'm also going to go into Pirate Enemy and Gun NPC actually, and change the fire rate down. If I go into the script and Gun NPC here, 1 over fire rate. So this is how many shots happen per second, right? So I can make it much more or I can make it much less. And what I want to do is not shoot 10 projectiles per second. I want to shoot 5 because that's way too fast. So what I want to do now is I want to put these all on the same column. Like that. then this is on 38. $40. That's also 40. We can move these to 40. That one. Okay, so that looks good. And now we can test it. So save that, go here, and test it. And off it goes, gets closer, and now it shoots. Amazing. We've got a problem here though. Pattern assign, no behavior sequence for pattern seek. So let's check the sequence here. On plasma body entered, take damage, destroy, on target destroyed, on waypoint destroyed, on pattern assigned, push error. So on target destroyed, waypoint destroyed, destroyer type, destroyer ID, emit the signal, waypoint destroyed, then on waypoint destroyed, pattern assigned dot emit, find waypoint. Enemy ship controller. So where's the find waypoint? Pattern assigned, emit, enemy ship ID, find waypoint, and parameters. So we'll just switch out seek for find waypoint. And give that a try. Okay, so we've still got this error. No behavior sequence for pattern find waypoint. On waypoint destroyed. On pattern assigned. Pattern assigned dot emit the destroyer's ID. Oh, we need to pass in the parameters here before that. We get the random waypoint, and then we need to add in those other things. Okay, so let's go to move enemy to random waypoint. We need these two variables here. So let's just copy this and go down on waypoint destroyed and just replace that. Okay, I think that fixed it. But I can't be sure, so let's double check. We will run the scene. Oh yes, there it goes. There we go. So that was interesting. I'm just trying to think what I should have been doing. It should actually not have found a new waypoint. It should have reported that this waypoint was destroyed, which it did, and then the enemy ship controller needs to decide what to do. It should have cancelled the pattern. It should have said, okay, stop what you're doing and wait for a new pattern to be assigned. On waypoint destroyed, it should actually be calling cancel pattern, shouldn't it? But okay, we actually need to have this here too. On enemy reached waypoint, select a random waypoint. So that's the new waypoint. And then we need to do all of this code here. On enemy reached waypoint with waypoint ID. Okay, well, I'm not sure enemy reached waypoints actually being triggered. So okay, we'll just test it, see what happens, right? So when I say go to a random waypoint, it's going to go up to waypoint 5. Bang. And let's read all the messages it says. It says assign seek pattern to random waypoint 4, seek behavior complete, target reached, behavior completed, seek with status completed, and pattern find waypoint completed sequence. So it's not using the enemy reached waypoint signal anymore, which is interesting. So what I'm thinking of doing next, because I'm happy with what's going on here, this is nice. I can actually tell it to attack waypoint 1, and off it goes. Goes to find a new waypoint. So now there's an edge case that I've thought of right now that I want to test, because waypoint 1 is defeated. It's defeated, right? It's destroyed. You can see that. Now, what happens if I tell it to attack waypoint 1 again? Is it going to? Or is it going to throw an error? It's going to try. It's going. It's going. And it's going to keep shooting. Oh. That's disappointing. But this time you can see the projectile is actually passing through the sphere and not missing it completely. That's good. Right. So there are a few things I want to do, and time is short. I have about 5 minutes before the hour is up, and actually no, I have about 7 minutes before the hour is up. So I'm going to go to enemy ship controller, and I'm going to ask Perplexity why currently there is no evidence that the signal that the on enemy reached waypoint, and I'm guessing that would be under behavior waypoint, right? So there's a signal here, enemy reached waypoint. So there's no evidence that the waypoint destroyed signal is being emitted. So I'll copy this code, paste it here. Here is the code for behavior waypoint.gd. Right. There is currently no evidence to show that the enemy reached waypoint signal is being emitted whenever an enemy reaches the waypoint. Is this because the signal is triggered by a collision? Should we reduce the target distance to make sure or to ensure there is a collision? The signal is indeed only emitted when an area 3D's area entered fires. So if that never triggers, your enemy reached waypoint will never emit either. what is actually triggering the signal in behavior waypoint GD area on area entered dot connect on area 3D area entered function on area 3D area entered current body. Print waypoint area entered. If the current body is in group enemy ship and current body is type enemy ship, then print collider is an enemy ship, emit the signal, enemy reached waypoint, current body ID and ID, and print signal emitted for waypoint ID. So key points are these. So the issue is not just radius, it's that you are listening to the wrong signal for a moving body. How to fix detection? If body entered on the waypoint area 3D, or rather use body entered on waypoint area 3D instead of area entered. So in the ready function, and then on area 3D, body entered takes in a body for node if body is in group this. So keep area entered only if your ships also have their own area 3D and you intentionally want area overlap. For typical ship flies through a volume behavior, body entered is the right choice. Okay, so let's try and fix that. We have about 2 minutes. I'm going to take this moment to say thank you to Cubes for your support. He's our junior DevVenturer. You guys can go over to coffee.com/mtkdev if you're interested in joining him. And please do join the Discord community. The link is in the description. Okay, so coming down to behavior waypoint in the ready function, we print ready called, and then we print connecting enemy reached waypoint signal, connecting waypoint ID assigned signal. Doesn't seem to have that signal anymore. Okay, or maybe we'll just, yeah, it's fine, we'll just get rid of it. We have version control, so that's okay. Connecting this enemy reached waypoint signal, enemy reached waypoint, connect enemy ship controller on enemy reached waypoint, waypoint destroyed, connect enemy ship controller on waypoint destroyed. Then here we go. We'll say hash for a character body 3D or a rigid body 3D ships. Then we use body entered. So this needs to be body entered dot connect, and then we just go down here, area 3D body entered. We'll change this to area 3D body entered. And then in the area 3D body entered, make sure that it's waypoint area body entered, and that is body. Oh, current body. Okay, and then if the body is in group enemy ship and it is type enemy ship, then we print collider is an enemy ship, emit a signal, body ID with ID, signal emitted for waypoint ID with ID. Right? So that's that. We go to this and test it. And this will be the last thing we do before I sign off. So I'm just going to send it off to a random waypoint. And off it goes. Amazing. So we've come back to the original functionality, right? Where by default, the enemy ship will just keep cycling between random waypoints until we tell it to do something special. And I am really happy with this, because now we've gotten back to where we were before I started all of this triple layered AI architecture, right? But now we also have a triple layered AI architecture. So, so while it seems like we've gone in a circle and ended up back where we were, during that circle, we've added a whole new layer on top of the onion, using the so-called Shreknik. So, wait, hang on. What's going on here now? Why is it doing that for waypoint 7? Anyway, that's not important. We can figure that out later. Anyway, thank you so much for your time and for your attention.